Right, so in order to get going, all you need to do is basically close your eyes. You've got your piece of paper taped down, and what I'll do is I'll cut down to the piece of paper in a minute so you can see what I'm doing. But basically, as you start to draw, find a kind of an anchor point, and then very, very slowly draw as your finger is moving down. Find those curves. It doesn't matter which way you travel. In all honesty, it's going to end up looking a bit like something Picasso drew because, which is not a bad thing, because you are going to be following lines rather than trying to draw a face. And that's what I want you to think of this as, just very, very slowly. And every time you find a line or anything like that, you just put it on the paper and you don't open your eyes. You're just following the line of your face. It's quite relaxing, really, because you're not bothering about what you are actually drawing. You've got time to really kind of observe these lines by touch, just really slowly, one at a time, until you reach the end or a point where you feel like this could be the end. If you go off the paper, it's definitely bonus points. So how about continuous line drawing? It's something I do a lot in my classes. It's something that I am very keen on myself. You just chuck a load of stuff on the table in front of you, empty your bag, empty your kitchen drawer like I've just done. Doesn't really matter. And what you're going to do is you start at one end of the paper, there, and you just work your way across. And what you do is you just draw what you see, but the deal is here that you're not allowed to take your pen off the paper. You can use a pencil. You can use, I'm going to go right off the paper. I won't draw all of that bit because otherwise you won't be able to see what on earth I'm doing. But the lovely thing about this is because you cannot make it perfect, you can kind of let go of that one and just relax into looking at the shapes. So what you're doing at the moment is you're improving your art practice whilst drawing the wonkiest drawing of your life. But your observational skills will benefit like mad from doing this. I can't recommend it highly enough. If you're worried about, well, if you're worried about it at all, you shouldn't be worried about it. But if you are, what you can do is actually put the items on the paper and just lift them off with the other hand as you come to them, so you can draw them like that. So you can see, some things are behind other things. There's a little butter knife behind there. That's fine. It's kind of come out incredibly wonky. It doesn't matter. You've got things layered over. Obviously I've gone for like the slightly challenging version here. God knows why. Why do I always do these things to myself when I've got a video camera running? Should have gone for the easy version, but you know what? It doesn't matter because, as I say, there is no perfect with this. Let's have some wonky fork times. And it's amazing how actually often you can see exactly what it is, even though you did draw it in an incredibly wonky way. So all we're doing for this one is we're starting with one colour, and seeing I have orange and green all over my palette, maybe we'll start with those. And you start by painting a little circle in your first colour. So I'm going to mix up a big old pool of orange. I'll try and put it where you can see it. There we go, big old pool of orange. And you paint on, you just whirl it round in a circle and paint in the middle. Now my other colour is going to be blue for this. So at this point, I've got my big pool of orange. And I'm going to add in a tiny little bit of blue. Just enough to tint it a little tiny bit. You can see already that's changing colour. That's a little bit darker now. Get a little bit more. Oh, overshot slightly, doesn't matter. Starting to go brown. A little bit more. Seem to be going round in a circle, that's fine. Paint it however you like. You're trying to load the brush with enough each time to get all the way around the circle. There we go, it's getting darker and darker now. Quite like orange and blue because orange and blue make this wonderful range of browns through to greys. They're very natural shades, so we can see now it's starting to go quite grey. Where should we go now? I can go back a little bit. This is a great way of getting to know your paints. I apologise for the slight shaking of the camera. That is entirely down to the fact I've got it balanced on the table. There we go, so we're going really grey now. Even more blue. A little bit more. You can see it's almost at a point where it is blue now. Just going to keep going. Just adding it into this puddle. So I've had this little puddle going. This little puddle going here for quite a while now. The orange is nearly all gone. Should we carry on? Should we carry on? We can carry on. It will get to the point where it's almost ultramarine, which is the other colour I'm using. And at that point, I will paint one circle that is pure ultramarine. So I won't use my little puddle I've been using for that. I'll make a fresh. Although to be quite honest, my ultramarine is pretty dirty anyway, so it may not come out that different. Should we go for it now? That looks like it's almost ultramarine. So clean the brush off and we'll put it here. Oh, I could have got a few more out of that. Maybe I'll do one more. So one more just as an in-betweener. There we go. You can see all those different colours there. Now, colour matching. I love colour matching, and it's a fantastic way of just relaxing into doing a little bit of art practice that you know is going to do you good in the long run, but that is very, very low stress, right in the here and now. So you can get quite lost in it. So I've got these funky pens over here. You know, I bought them just because I loved the colours of the barrels. Isn't that terrible? But actually, they're going to make really good colour matching subjects for this. So what you do to colour match is you try and get the exact same colours you've got there. So I don't know if you can see my palette here. You probably can. It's disgusting. Some of those colours, you know, and you put a colour in, it might be wrong. That is not quite there. Needs a little bit more green. Okay, let's add some. That's better. This is the worst paper in the world, so it's not really going into the paper. And yes, I have painted right over the edge of the boxes. If you're the sort of person that really loves keeping things inside a box, this is probably going to be quite fun for you as well. If you're the sort of person who doesn't like keeping things inside a box, rock on. That's also fine. Now, what about that purple one? That's going to be quite a challenge. Have I got anything that would do that? Let's try that. I have. Yeah, I reckon that's not bad. We'll try one more just for the sake of cameras and all the other things. Pinks. Pinks are always a bit of a challenge. I've got a very, very frightening pink, but that is not the pink I'm aiming for. No, it's not. I'm going to try that one. So you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, my pink is too pink, maybe a little bit orangier. Is that a word? Yeah, I reckon with that, that's the fellow. There we go. So we're just going to grab some of that and bung it in there. So you're just looking at the colours and you're assessing them and thinking, okay, does it need to be bluer? Does it need to be pinker? Does it need to be redder? And then seeing what you've got in your palette and trying to get as close as you can to that colour. And that is a fantastic way of getting to know your palette, but also a really fantastic way of just relaxing into a little bit of art practice that you know is going to do you good. Even if it's tricky at first, you will get better and better at this with practice. So we've got a lot of different things going on. That's a donut. You can still hear it in the background possibly. The wind noise, there's quite a lot of wind noise going on. Crows. Seagulls. Something else in the hedge. I'm not quite sure what that is, but something small is making a kind of a little dip, dip, dip noise. Some of that. And it doesn't really matter where you are. You can do this in an urban setting as well. You can draw what an ambulance sounds like when it's going past. But what you're doing is tuning in to your environment, and that's a massive part of relaxing into art.